Hey everyone, it's me again, just your ordinary Potter girl, and in today's video we are going to talk about the Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Okay, so I know this isn't the actual book. I don't have a physical copy of it, so I did this wonderful, pretty drawing with no drawing skills at all whatsoever. So I just drew the circus tent and then I wrote the Night Circus, and the tent is actually black and white because the circus just has the colors black and white, and there's a tiny bit of red because there are a tiny bit of red things within the circus. So that's my gorgeous explanation for this gorgeous picture or not so gorgeous picture of the Night Circus. But now let's jump right into the video. Okay, so as I said, The Night Circus is a book written by the author Erin Morgenstern. And in this book we follow our two main characters, Celia and Marco, as well as some other side characters, but we actually have chapters from different points of view. So there are ones from Celia or Marco, but also other people who are in this book, but who are not so essential for the story as these two protagonists. But all these people have in common that they have something to do with the circus, whether they work there, whether they want to travel with the circus, whether they're just fascinated in the circus. These are all the different perspectives you get. Okay, so before we start with the discussion of this book, I'm going to quickly give you the summary that this book has on its back. Okay, so it says, "The circus arrives without warning. No announcement preceded. It is simply there, when yesterday it was not." And that is the thing in this book, that this circus travels around the world, but you never know where it's going to be next. So it's one day it's in London, and then at night it's suddenly gone, and 2 days later it appears in Los Angeles or something like that. So it travels around the world, but without warning for the people who want to visit the circus. Within the black and white striped canvas tents, as the one I drew, is an utterly unique experience full of breathtaking amazements. It is called the Cirque du Rêve, and it is only open at night. That's why it's called the Night Circus, obviously. But it's closed during the daytime and you're not allowed to enter the ground, and then it opens at nighttime. But behind the scenes, a fierce competition is underway. A duel between two young magicians, Celia and Marco, who have been trained since childhood expressly for this purpose by their instructors. Unbeknownst to them, this is a game in which only one can be left standing, and the circus is a stage for a remarkable battle of imagination and will. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you more because I think it is best to go in this book knowing as little as possible, because there are some surprises and they are just more shocking if you actually don't know what is going to happen. I have to tell you that this book is quite complex, or seems to be quite complex throughout the whole story, because as I said, there are various different perspectives, but not only different perspectives, but there are also huge time jumps within this book. So I think it all takes place around 1890 until like 1910, something like that. And we jump from, I don't know, 1895 to 1905 and then back to 1890 or something. So it's kind of hard to follow the story, especially because I read it in ebook and I didn't want to like skip all the pages back to the chapter before to see what time relation is between those chapters, because I couldn't remember after every chapter the exact date that this took place, and that made it kind of hard to follow sometimes, but it was very interesting and a bit of a challenging read. At least it seemed to be that way for most of the book, because as I said, it was complicated and a bit hard to follow, but that was actually what was nice about the story. And what made it a bit more complicated even is that you didn't just follow the people that are in the circus, but you also have perspectives from people that live at a completely different place and do not work in the circus, but are just fascinated by the circus in general, or have done something for the circus. So you jump between all these different characters and you get a good overview of the whole situation and the whole story, but it's not easy to always know where am I, what is happening at the other place at this point, or has this happened 5 years ago and now I'm 10 years into the future, you know, that's kind of hard, but actually that is the fun about the story. Okay, so onto my review. While reading this book, I really loved it. I thought it was so complex and so clever written, and it is written at some chapters from kind of the perspective as you would be a visitor in the circus. It's kind of written like you go to the entry of the circus and you see this big tent and you see a clock or I don't know what. So yeah, this is very interesting and it was very new for me. It was a very new experience to have a story like that, and I did really enjoy it. As I say, it was a complex story and I was really invested in the story the whole time. I really liked following our protagonists Celia and Marco, but also getting other perspectives, like for example Bailey. I kind of was waiting for an ending that was as complex as the story the whole time, but that didn't come. So although I enjoyed it, the ending was not as good as the rest of the story. So I was waiting for some kind of twist, some kind of huge surprise that would explain the whole story, but it all came together, all the characters, all their ways connected, but not in a way that I'd expected, and also not in a way that I liked. So sadly, there was not this ending I waited for. It was okay, it was not a bad ending, but it was not as good as I had hoped for. So all in all, this was a solid read, and I would recommend picking it up. I enjoyed reading this book. As I said, during reading it, I really, really loved it. But just keep in mind that although the story is complex and sometimes quite hard to follow, the ending may not be as good as you expected. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into a spoilery section, so if you haven't read that book, just click off now, and thank you guys for watching. So for the people who have read the book and who want to discuss with me about the book, I really like this book. As I said, especially what I found quite hard to follow was at the beginning when Marco was with Isabel. At first I thought that she was actually Celia using a different name, and I thought that these were the two main characters, but later then I found out that Isabel is not actually Celia but is a own person. I don't know why I thought that it was Celia, but it was just, to me, it was like, yeah, well, she must have used a false name and now they are already together there. But as I said, that was of course wrong. As I said, I loved that the whole story was so complex, so that at one point you were at Marcus' perspectives, then you were with Bailey, and then with Mr. Thiessen and all this stuff. So that was really kind of cool to have such a story, because I never had read anything like that. But as I said, the end was not as good as I had expected. So although most of the characters came together in the ending when they all met at the circus, it was not as complex the ending as I expected, and I thought it was kind of strange with this kind of parallel universe in which Celia and Marco were then living, and that was all, on one hand it was a bit confusing, and on the other hand I just didn't like it that much as an ending. But apart from that, I really enjoyed the story. I really liked it. I don't have to recommend you to pick it up, because if you watched this until now, then you probably already have read the book. Nonetheless, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more bookish videos from me, then subscribe to my channel. I do all kinds of bookish videos, for example book quizzes, book hauls, TBRs, wrap-ups, book reviews as you've just seen. I'm happy that you have watched the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching guys, have fun, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!